E vamos nós.
Okay, before I continue with the actual adventure, let me rewind 5 years.
É o primeiro esboço e o ponto de partida de uma volta ao mundo de caderno na mão.
Hoje queremos apresentar-te um português brutal. Se visses os desenhos que ele faz, dirias, bom, este rapaz vai longe.
In the year of 2012, I left my friends, family and a job to start the journey of sketching around the world. I call it the World Sketching Tour. A journey I would thought that I know what I want to do, but I forgot one little detail.
Resume-se a isto. Saio esta porta e sigo em direção de uma nova vida, de uma novo acreditar.
This adventure would change me every day, and it was bigger than I could ever
O
imagine.
que é que vos posso dizer? Já passou um mês. Que raio que eu me meti na cabeça que havia de andar 5 anos à volta do mundo.
I started with my parents in a camper van that soon we felt our own. This became one of the best decisions I made in all my life. Traveling with a 60-year-old couple and being able to learn about them was one of the best experiences I had. We had fun and complicated times.
Então, porque hoje o meu pai faz 64 anos e porque improvisar é o lema desta viagem, improvisei agora mesmo um bolo de aniversário para o meu pai.
I wanted to live wild and free. They wanted to live safe and organized. Maybe age makes us more scared of our destiny, but to be honest, at this time I wasn't scared of anything.
Levei 1 hora a subir isto tudo com uma pequena bicicleta.
I had the best time of my life rediscovering my parents, sketching and having new adventures. During that year and a half, I fell in love with what I was doing.
3 months have already passed since I left Lisbon. Perdi o meu caderno no autocarro. O mais provável é que tenha ido com o caderno. É meia-noite e eu estou a acabar o meu primeiro desenho à meia-noite.
I would sketch 3 to 4 times a day. I would talk with everyone who tried to talk back. I would do anything I could to get out of what was considered normal.
E vou a caminho do meu autocarro para Riga.
I also fell in love with people, so much that I went back for them. But soon I learned that wasn't right. My goal was to continue sketching and learning about this world. I saw my favorite band playing and I sketched it. I hitchhiked for the first time during the White Christmas in 2013. I slept in people's home and we shared good times. And then...
É porque hoje é um ano.
É dia 8 de junho de 2013.
Se calhar já não temos um miúdo ao pé de nós.
My mom was right. In Italy, I said goodbye to my parents and I became alone with my own backpacks. I was excited to finally go and do whatever I wanted. In reality, I just wanted to be free. I took a flight to Istanbul and 2 days later I was experiencing their huge demonstration in Taksim Square. There was a country fighting for freedom and me, a city guy with a passion to document all in sketches. I took another flight to St. Petersburg and from there I got on a train that crosses all Russia. The Trans-Siberian. I've never imagined how it is to live in a train before, but that was my idea. Do things I've never done. I got in Mongolia and I traded all the transportation to a horse. The scenery changed and I was changing too. That old me that used to belong to a city, office and the same age friends was now meeting people from everywhere in the world. The roadsides, cell phones, expensive clothes and bags lost meaning. People wanted to know who I am, not what I have. On that moment I understood nothing was more important than what we do. And with 33 years old, I felt I haven't done much. Having a life full of experience that would shape my character became my search at that time. I continued to China by train. I slept on the Great Wall and I did 3 hours hike to do one sketch. I lost my sketching gear, but everything can be replaceable. During this period, I would go anywhere to sketch. My motivation was at the top of the world. Traveling in China made me a rolling stone. To bear with all the hard reality of a society full of self-centered people, I had to put aside my feelings and became the most practical I could. Japan made me sweet again and fall in love with their culture and respect. Korea drove me crazy with the spicy food and extreme differences in thinking. Hong Kong made me stay longer than I could imagine. I had my first time paid job as an illustrator. Something I could never imagine when I started this long journey. I felt bad to stop my adventure, but I wanted to have all kind of experience, and after 2 years of non-stopping, I think I was ready to rest for a while. After 1 year in Hong Kong and many things done, I moved from a very unorganized, clean city to the most unpredictable country I've ever been, India. I knew I was in India once I understood I was experiencing something new again. I could have new feelings while I was traveling, with people, with smells. Everything looked new. Something was happening with me. I was again changing myself into something else I couldn't foresee. Someone told me that his best decision was to jump on a motorcycle and travel India like that. I didn't thought twice to do the same, but I did it my way, with a Vespa. I never felt so free during the whole journey. I have been always afraid to riding motorcycles before, and this was a great challenge for me. Riding a Vespa without legal papers and driving license was a plus to the experience. I did go to Kerala, and from there I went to Sri Lanka. After 15 days traveling around the tourist areas, I went to the considered complicated areas to learn more about their past. I came back to India to continue my motorcycle journey. I restarted from Kerala and I went all the way up to Kolkata. Those 7,000 kilometers changed forever my fear of motorbikes. After India, Thailand, Myanmar, Singapore and Malaysia, Southeast Asia was peaceful and easy to travel. I always felt secure and safe. But something was about to happen that changed my way to traveling forever. I went to the Philippines, and I easily trust two ladies that brought me to one of the scariest moments of my journey. I got drugged with powder that put me asleep, and they could rob me as easily as they want. Life was giving me a hard lesson to be more careful with myself. That changed my way to interact with people. I didn't become closed, I just became conscious about my life. Some experiences are there to teach you something, and that's what I felt. I can't be reckless. After the Philippines, I went to Indonesia. And in the beginning of 2016, more than 4 years without going home and experiencing new challenges every day, I was pretty lost about who I was at that time. I tried to fit in so many different cultures that I ended up not knowing anymore what I wanted. But one thing I kept doing, sketching. That was my drive. Not as often as I did in Europe. Maybe my search changed and I was changing too. I was less motivated to sketch and more interested in normal life, routines, and simple moments. Every time I would find a reason to continue traveling and sketching, something or someone would come and tested my guts. This time was a girl called Anisa. We met in Bali and we traveled together. I've had many girlfriends during my journey to understand that my condition of traveler doesn't allow me to have deep connections. I had a ticket to Australia and she never asked me to stop or change my plans after we met. So we said goodbye and I went to Sydney. Oceania would be the last continent before America and Africa. Winter was coming and so I went to New Zealand. I drove a car, I slept on it, and I did Bluff to Auckland. The solitude of the mountains made me miss adventures on the camper van with my parents, a home, friends, and Anisa.
Hey, wait a minute! Can you take a video when we drive? And like this,
I'm doing.
These guys were doing an awesome trip.
Go, go, go!
I decided to went back to Melbourne and go finally travel in Australia, but it didn't happen. Instead, I fly to Bali and I met Denise again. I felt that someone was guiding me to go there. We spent 7 months together and learning about each other. In that time, stopping was almost normal for me. The problem was the kind of person I became. Without knowing it, this wild journey made me a hunter. I need experiences and new people to talk and share my life with. I didn't care about comfort even if my body would really appreciate it. I wasn't committed to anything besides the life I created, full of experience and dreams. Who would really understand a hunter that just wants to have good moments? Anisa had that patience. She made me understand I shouldn't treat her for granted. In that time I had so many sketches and stories that I could talk for hours telling what I did, and actually people would love to hear my adventures. That was working with my plan, having the most experiences I could get and become someone with a past. But what was my present? What I really want after almost 5 years traveling? I wasn't sure of what I want. Anisa was a good partner, but she never traveled, so we would have different ideas about life. I liked Bali and surf every day, but in my head, there's still a dream I wrote in 2012. 5 continents, 5 years, 1 dream. But who was that person that wrote that? I can't feel it anymore. Somehow it became clear that it was time to go home. I was lost. Portugal came as a new hope for me, and I had to come with Anisa. From the moment I dreamed about this, we had 4 weeks to pack her life, get a visa, and get in a flight to Portugal. On the 29th of November of 2006, we landed in Portugal.
Voltou há 3 dias a Portugal, o homem que decidiu largar tudo durante 5 anos para correr o mundo a desenhar.
Foi de Lisboa que arrancou em 2012 o projeto World Sketching Tour.
Esta é a primeira vez que Luís Simões visita Lisboa.
I was home. My parents were happy. My friends looked the same, but they were different. Coming back home made me share the person I became. I did exhibitions and I talked with people that have been following my journey. I never felt so good after all that time traveling. I understood I need to share. That became my reason for what I do. That person who thought about traveling the world and sketching it was finally found his way. But he has changed, and it was time to do some adjustments. Anisa wanted to be part of the journey, and I have spending my savings for the last 5 years. We needed a way to find an income for us. I started to think about World Sketching Tour as something more than me traveling around the world and share sketches on Instagram and Facebook. We have to actually work and put out our experiences, I thought. It was clear to me that my purpose to share was growing. Everything was great at home until I said my family I was going to travel again to South America with Anisa. After Europe, Asia, and Oceania, it was time to plan for new adventures and continue the journey. I'm not sure where and how far we can go, but this time will be different. I won't be alone, and we will be riding bicycles. You may be wondering why. Because of this.